topics make you go, shut up. Story 1 Celebrity BS. It's weird people care what complete strangers are doing with their life when they couldn't care less of yours and who you personally are, stalkerish behavior imo. Story 2 When my students start rambling about whatever half-baked, crackpot half-truths of history that they got from FB Twitter whatever, that they believe is the gospel truth. Story 3 Drama in work. Honestly, I don't give a how or why person A doesn't get along with person B because person C has done or said something. STFU, it's a job. Grow up and start doing what you are paid to do. Outside of work you can beat each other up all you want. Story 4 If someone goes, why aren't we talking about this? I just naturally assume now that the topic they are referring to is extremely specific to their life and in no way impacts me. Story 5 When very young mostly white people try to start a racial conversation with me, a black woman, about something that is really not offending me and I don't consider racist. The newest one was thinking that white women calling black women queen is racist prejudiced. No, it really isn't. It doesn't bother me. Call me queen all day, I don't care. Can we fight real injustices before we start nitpicking stuff that isn't really bothering anyone? Story 6 When I'm talking about something I've done or bought and the other person has to try and one-up you constantly, I have recently started replying with of course you have if they start bragging about something they have done or own that is so much better than my example. Usually these people don't quite get the sarcasm. Story 7 As someone who has been actively suicidal in the past, it is rough when someone brings up suicide in general, but if you're the type of person to say you're depressed and in the same breath say 13 reasons why was an accurate portrayal of depression and post about your depression for attention, I have no words for how much I need to punch you. Story 8 The amount of people who are surprised that others don't like to talk about politics is more surprising to me than the majority of other answers responses. Story 9 Elon Musk. I don't hate the guy. In fact, I was a big fan of him in high school. I think it was probably in between him accusing that diver of being a pedophile and him naming his son X etc. when I realized he really likes media attention. I've always avoided people who are obsessed with the spotlight in my personal life. I now know other people who are working towards similar scientific goals that aren't distracting themselves from their work. I've lost interest, and I think the algorithms that control my social media account haven't caught on yet. Story 10 I majored in political science and trust me, this is almost always my response when someone wants to talk politics with me. The vast majority of the time talking politics just involves hearing someone recite to me the talking points they heard from their favorite media personality, and it is rarely an honest dialogue. In most political conversations people are just thinking about how they are going to counter what the other person is saying. There is rarely an attempt to actually listen and understand where the other person is coming from to reach a consensus. It is often just a quarrel that feeds on itself ad infinitum. Story 11 I used to be a divorce lawyer, which of course makes people think I want to hear horror stories about their ex. When I'm not even at work, often when I'm at a party, or out in public, I twitch. Story 12 Disclaimer COVID-19 should be taken seriously, and those saying otherwise are part of the problem. That being said, I'm sick of hearing unnecessary doom and gloom about it too. Yeah, this is bad, but exaggerating how bad it is doesn't help either. I hear people say things like, if you send your kids to school, you're sentencing them to death, or we will just have to wear masks the rest of our lives. My friend was out for a walk and someone yelled from their window that he shouldn't be outside during a pandemic. I saw a thread where a guy talked about his job requiring him to be in office, and Redditors were telling him he should quit for the greater good of humanity. If you feel that seriously about it, go live in a bunker and enjoy living off canned beans. Story 13 As an American, pretty much anything relating to politics, like why can't we talk about aliens or something? Edit I guess I should clarify, aliens as in extraterrestrials. Edit 2 To be more specific, I don't hate talking politics. I just hate how some people will try to drag politics into any given subject. There's a time and place for politics. Story 14 When pastors and other Christians say something cringy, shout amen during a sermon, or try and push you due to something, and I'm a Christian myself, they are part of the reason why I am perfectly fine telling friends and coworkers I'm a Christian, but at the same time, I don't force my beliefs onto them or tell them don't do this do that. Whether you're part of a religion, a movement, a community, or even a fandom, you should be careful of how you show yourselves to others, because people will see you as an example of whichever group of people you fall into. I know a lot of Christians don't mean any harm, but they look like they're social inept. Story 15 Vaccines. I'm just sick of it at this point. Get your shot. It's essentially created a rift in my family. My brother doesn't want to risk his future kid's GF's pregnant health, so he wants everyone visiting to be vaccinated. Mom is super anti-vax and outraged because of it. She's eligible for it and could get it at any time but of course refuses and digs on bro for it all the time. Then you turn on the car radio and it's just vaccine this vaccine that. Ugh, shut up. Story 16 I can't go out tonight. I have to go to the gym. You'll be doing meal prep all day Sunday or else I would. Gosh, I'm so sore, my trainer really pushed me yesterday. You know there are a lot of calories in that, right? I drink 2 gallons of water a day. Can we pick a different restaurant that has gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free vegan food? Like, we get it, you're the pinnacle of great health. It doesn't need to be your entire personality though. Story 17 This feeling usually happens over lunch at work. I do not care about celebrity gossip or reality show discourse. And I really do not care about your diet and the nutritional content of your food. Talking about food from home while eating it, that's like the worst small talk imaginable. Story 18. These days it's about the vaccine, masks, or these dumb conspiracies that COVID was created in a lab and is the government trying to control us. I am just ridiculously tired of people trying to argue their opinions about it when it affects the actual health of other people. Story 19. Trust fund white kids dictating their particularly snarky brand of performative wokeness, especially unprompted and when it's unrelated to the topic at hand. Also unsolicited and non-sequitur political opinions. Can't stand visiting family members who spout off every single inconvenience as the Democrats' or liberals' fault. I'm here to enjoy dinner with you, not get roped into your half-baked conspiracy theories. They could trip going up the stairs and somehow it'll be those damn libtards' fault. Story 20. Someone posting about how useless their high school classes were and they wish they had learned how to do taxes. You wouldn't have taken the tax class if it was offered astrology. My grandma always goes on about it and I'm just nodding thinking she is dumb but in a nice way. Story 21. Kardashian anything, or any influencer shite. It's beyond me how anyone tunes into any of them. I remember something blowing up about one of them making a video of how to eat a Kit Kat. From that moment I knew America was a lost cause, besides the fact that a reality TV buffoon was running the country. Story 22. British royalty. I don't care about any of them, who they're dating, how many kids they have, celebrities I don't give about, even when it's an actor I care about. It barely interests me unless it's something really funny, but 99% of the time it's about someone I don't care about, so it's even worse. Astrology, go be crazy somewhere else. The weather, if we're talking we're in the same vicinity, we have the same weather, so telling me it's cold warm today it's kinda stating the obvious. I don't know why that kind of small talk is so common in society, like, why weather and not I don't know. Hey, that wall is very blue. To me those statements are about the same, but for some reason saying it's cold today is deemed normal, while saying that wall is blue would be met with weird looks. Politics, if you're treating it as celebrities I don't give about. I'm all for debating politics as long as it's debating and not just throwing out random emotional anecdotal opinions, but not gossiping about politics. Story 23. When white people, usually women, feel like it's their responsibility to be the voice of minorities. Yeah, I get the benefit of helping minorities, but some of these people are so extra and usually have racism implied in their own actions arguments. Story 24. Right now, COVID, it's so depressing to hear about every single day, either on every social media platform or having a conversation at work or with someone else. It's depressing as. Story 25. Gender politics. That whole subject triggers just about anyone and it doesn't matter what side of it you're on, just SDFU and treat everyone with some respect. Story 26. Anyone who talked to me about astrology and dumb conspiracy theories, or when someone tries to tell me, a Latino man, to start to use latinx, miss me with that bullshit. Story 27. Weed. I'm glad you like it, but I don't care about it. Please for God's sake stop talking about it. I'd literally rather discuss damned near anything else. Story 28. When people divert any conversation to themselves. I literally called someone because I really needed a friend in that moment, and after I said I needed to talk about something serious, they started talking about their day at work and some rude customer who offended them. Please, I just wanted 10 minutes. Story 29. When people start going on about which processor or graphics their computer uses, I really don't give a. All I asked is if you played Dark Souls. Oh, and Console Wars. I play PlayStation. If you wish to play Xbox, great, have fun. I couldn't care less which one you thought was better. Story 30. Honestly, when people trauma bomb you, I don't know why, but I feel like this happens a lot to me, mostly with people I don't know that well, like we'll be having a light conversation, and all of a sudden a person will bring up a major traumatic life event, and then I'm sitting like, oh okay, so sorry that happened. I have no idea what to say, I feel gross about it, but I feel like it's an indication that a person is emotionally immature, and I don't know what the motive is around sharing something like that with a near stranger. Also, I think kind of selfish, like you don't know what others have walked through and maybe they don't want to revisit their own trauma like that. Like I said, it happens so often, my empathy just goes out the door and I'm just irritated. Story 31. I might get a lot of hate for this, but anything to do with Letke, like I couldn't articulate how little I care if I tried. Literally shut the up, no one gives a rat's what you identify with or whom you like to. I'm gonna take a guess on your gender, and if I get it wrong I will proceed to do all. Story 32. Obama holy he isn't even president anymore, leave me on keto or any fad diet. Had a roommate who talked about diets constantly and how good the insert diet of the week is. Oh yeah, they work so well. She never got below 400 pounds, no exaggeration. Story 33. Democrats complaining about how bad Trump was. I know he isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he wasn't that bad. Google CNN director date. His date video recorded him bragging how they get told what agenda to pump on the news and just stick with it. Don't believe everything the news tells you. Story 34. I'm in recovery for drugs and alcohol, and the amount of advice I get from people who have not dealt with either is infuriating. If you don't have experience with an incredibly heavy and difficult topic, you don't always need to try to relate it to yourself. Just be supportive. Story 35. Anything Trump related in my family. I dislike him, but I keep my opinion to myself. If someone says anything Trump related at an event, a lot of my Trump-loving family members will basically go on long Trump good, Biden bad rants, and it's just like, can we not? Story 36. Anime. Just shut up. It is bad, I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I don't need you recommending every obscure anime you think you'll like because you have some insatiable desire to conform the world and people you meet to like what you like. and if you think the reasons I don't like it aren't fair, then too bad. Because it's enough of an issue across all anime that it turns me away, and then furthermore, the fans are the absolute worst, the whole Ahigo thing degenerate perverts, when my know-it-all relatives who has lived in the U.S. for 50 years tries to explain to me about statistics of chronic diseases, Crohn's disease, Alzheimer's and COVID, or how to cook Chinese food. I am not an expert, but I have a master's degree in biostatistics and public health, and spent my teenage and adult years studying, interning, and working in public health before going corporate developing Crohn's and Alzheimer drugs. I also co-own an Asian restaurant with my friend where I help decide their weekly specials after I have tested recipes at home. It really irks me to have to listen to someone who tries to teach or educate or enlighten me about something I have spent my life studying and working, and then proceeds to use, I have lived 68 years and have more life experience than you, as a reason to defend her false statements, when I prove her wrong with a simple Google search. Or when they tell me how my Chinese food is wrong because mine is not traditional enough, when I try to travel back to different parts of Asia once or twice a year to learn and pay for recipes from chefs who owns Michelin restaurants. I have 2 volumes of Cantonese and Chinese recipes from friend's father, who owned a 2 Michelin star restaurant, but passed away years ago, and gave me his recipe manual with pricing and profit margin on all the recipes his mentor passed down to him and his recipes. That recipe manual is at least 70 years old, including a collection of food hawker recipes, and several hundred typical restaurant and home-cooked foods. I might not have cooked all those recipes yet I am about 48 recipes in, but I do my best to follow the recipe. Story 37 Hearing people go on about how they are oppressed because they're in a specific community, like LGBT, when they have the same rights as everyone else, here in the first world. If you actually cared you'd campaign against countries who would have you shot to death because of your sexuality. Story 38 Literally anything political. Living in the US sucks because nobody can seem to shut their mouths when it comes to politics. You can go on and on about how stupid the other party is, but I couldn't care less hearing this come from someone who identified with the opposite party and has the exact same flaws. I can promise you this, the only difference between Republican and Democrat is how you spell the name. Both sides are equally as bad, so shut up, and let me eat my raviolis in peace. Story 39 Anything about the semantics of transgender people existing in society. What are we going to do if a trans woman uses the women's restroom? What are we going to do if a trans girl plays girls' sports in school? Who cares? And we have politicians spending weeks and months drafting actual legislation to address these pressing issues. Republicans are half-wits, crazy feminists ranting about mansplaining spreading lol. Story 40 Discussions about out-of-place artifacts. They can be interesting, but usually it devolves into woo-woo bullshit about aliens. Sometimes, a cigar is just a cigar. Story 41 Woke politics, leftist mentality. I'm not even super far right and consider myself more of a centrist, but when people force identity politics down your throat instead of letting things play out naturally, I go a shut up. Story 42 Politics. I'm left-leaning in a red state. If we could actually have a productive conversation wherein we could explore the topic from multiple points of view and think of a valid potential solution, that'd be fine, but I can't do that because I'm a liberal and everything is my fault. Story 43 Anti-maskers. COVID conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers, Trumpers, I can literally feel my brain cells dying whenever I have to listen to their bullshit. Story 44 Car and truck talk. I don't care about how cool you think your car is. If you aren't a race car driver or an actual trucker who drives semis, I couldn't give any less about your car. Story 45 When I'm having a nice pleasant interesting conversation with coworkers and inevitably they end up changing the topic to something racist or political, every single time gas went up 5 cents today, yeah. That's what happens when the Democrats are in charge. Oh, I went to the park downtown with my friend, we had a good time. Real nice place here, it's pretty, but I don't like to go there because of all the N-words. Story 46 When Republicans go on and on about free speech, LMAO your party has introduced over 80 anti-protesting bills, including multiple bills that protect drivers who run over protesters with their cars. So no, Republicans don't give about free speech, they are just idiots who think they found yet another gotcha tactic. Story 47 Coronavirus. Myself and everyone I know is fully vaccinated. I have absolutely no care at all for any topic relating to COVID anymore, and people still don't shut up about it. Story 48 Anything to do with American politics. I recently moved to Canada, and it seems Canadians are obsessed with the USA, as if there was no other country in the world. Story 49 My old workplace consisted of a couple of angry women talking about how much they hate men for the umpteenth time and how their boyfriends were so horrible because they could never meet their impossible demands. I so badly wanted to yell at them, then break up with your boyfriends and go out with each other since you hate men so much. So glad I got out of there. I don't miss that place for a minute. Story 50 Politics. I took the time to research and make a choice. It was my first election, and I tried to make the best educated decision. So now my family mocks me because I made the wrong decision, and if I wouldn't have voted him in, blah blah blah. It wouldn't matter how I vote, it would be wrong, or even if I voted the same as my family, they still would say I didn't do any thinking and just pick something. Ugh, you never can win, just smile and nod. Story 51 Baseball. The game is so dull and some people are unable to speak about anything else. I have this straight-edge guy at work that will only talk about baseball, astrology. My sisters are obsessed, always blaming everything they do on their star sign. Story 52 denouncing science or only choosing to support the science that supports their own beliefs. You either support it or you don't. If you support it, you change your perspective when science proves you wrong. Getting mad about it is the equivalence of getting mad that 22 only ever equals 4. It's just dumb. Also, political correctness. Anything racist, homophobic, transphobic, Nazi or any other hate towards minority groups that merely try to exist. If you want to hate a minority group, go hate pedophiles, rapists and serial killers. Story 53 transphobia. You clearly don't know what you're talking about, so just let me be. Same goes for other forms of discrimination, but they don't apply to me in the same way. Story 54 philosophy. I like the concept of it, but for the love of God don't lecture me about how moral you are. When people tell me about philosophy it seems like virtue signaling and making connections where there are none. Being smart doesn't mean you are any better of a person. Most people I hear talk about it fail to even implement these philosophies into their life, so I don't want to hear about it. Story 55 I'm dead, I mean like no cap, I'm just trying to get this bread on my glow up. It's the gas for me, too much drip, like I'll just sip my tea period oof. I'm not even pressed, fam. Sometimes she do be looking like a snack. Vibe check cause it's just a little sus though, no simp here, but dummy thick kinda boomer AF. Once they get triggered, it's all yee redneck clapping cheek season fire. Story 56 anything else other than the following: metal, rock, video games and history. Don't know much history, but if anyone wants to talk about it then DM me. Story 57 sexuality, queer, bi, straight, gay, aromatic, romantic, pansexual aromantic. Ughh I don't care, shut up. I gaff what gets you or doesn't get you off. The topic is boring and awkward. Story 58 gun control. Every argument I've ever been in comes down to people who have never shot a gun before versus people who have owned guns since they were kids. And that's a debate that will never go anywhere. It's just a great way to up a nice night of drinking. Story 59 every time a white burr or a social media influencer gives an uneducated or uninformed opinion on something, just cause he's popular, like Joe Rogan recently talked out of his about vaccines. Story 60 when people talk about their crazy drinking days from college, it's usually just boring stories that people think are funny because they were super wasted at the time, and if it's not boring it's horrible and not something to be proud of. Story 61 everyone bitching about how miserable they are after 1 week in lockdown. Oh please, I've spent almost a decade in lockdown, and you don't hear me complaining, so shut the up and learn to enjoy the solitude, you just might like it, and if not still shut up. Story 62 every time a boomer wants to say something about millennials, they don't even know what ages qualify for a millennial, and they sure as don't know the on our plate. Ever think about the fact that 20 of your paycheck goes to Medicare and SS and you won't see either of those programs in your retirement years, and we're the ones looking for handouts? Let me tell you, they're ignorant scammers. The most pathetic generation. Story 63 anytime someone is being unnecessarily pretentious or judgy, like I don't believe in crystals or zodiac signs for example, but I don't want to hear someone rant about how stupid they think people who do believe in that stuff are. Some others that irk me are when people make fun of people for liking lame shows, or dressing a certain way, or going to certain shows, etc. Like I've had so many interactions where the other person is just unnecessarily over the top mad and judgy about someone's interests and just view themselves as superior. Like unless they're harming themselves or others, don't yuck someone's yum. Story 64 people musing over Murakami. He's alright, but I guess that's everyone's go-to book to mention during parties to sort of set them apart from the crowd all. Story 65 anything regarding politics at this point. I've met too many people to count on both ends of the spectrum who will talk politics any chance they get. I don't mind having a discussion, but with these people an open-minded discussion quickly becomes an I am right and you're an idiot argument. BTW am a moderate with opinions leaning either way depending on the topic. At this point, I'm just tired of it all. What's the point of talking about it if you're just going to die on your hill no matter what I say? Story 66 pet diets. I cook for my dog, I don't give him kibble, my dog only eats raw, wolves only eat raw meat, Blue Buffalo or any other brand has completely brainwashed me. It's the best food, and all the many other stupid nonsensical drivel that people will literally argue over like it's politics or religion. Most the time they have no real knowledge, and I don't care what your dog is eating or not eating. Story 67 anti-vax movement. Just go stick yourself in an iron lung for a week. Then come talk to me and tell me how super amazing working with what God gave you is, or we bats hit excuse you think is a solid reason. Go listen to a parent who lost a child to a 100 preventable disease like smallpox, Ben Franklin, polio, tetanus, or rubella. I don't even want to hear anything about someone voluntarily not getting a vaccine because they believe they are fine without them.